They raided my office while I was out, but what they found exposed a secret no one saw coming. In a world where ambition often hides behind polite smiles, one man's integrity became the weapon no one expected. When Alex returned from lunch, his office had been raided, files open, screens photographed, and whispers of betrayal filling the air. But what the investigators uncovered that day didn't destroy him. It exposed something far deeper, a truth hidden in plain sight. Sometimes the quietest data can reveal the loudest lies. Now, I invite you to watch this powerful story. They raided my office while I was out, but what they found exposed a secret no one saw coming. Don't forget to subscribe to USLA 1 Stories, share the channel with friends and family, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Now let's begin the story. That afternoon, as Alex walked back to his desk after lunch, a chilling scene unfolded before him. 3 men in navy suits stood around his workspace. The glass walls of the office reflected the cold, sterile light from his still-active monitor, and papers were scattered across the floor, a jarring disruption to his meticulous order. One, gloved, systematically searched his drawer. Another meticulously photographed his screen. The third, with a grim efficiency, flipped through his personal notebook. Alex froze at the doorway, the warmth of his coffee cup a stark contrast to the sudden chill spreading through him. They didn't notice him until he broke the silence. The oldest man, with a stern but not overtly hostile face, identified them as internal audit, conducting a security compliance review. Alex's immediate thought was protocol. Why no prior notice? The auditor's gaze dropped to a paper in his hand. Special request from management, he stated flatly. When Alex pressed for a name, the auditor hesitated, then read it aloud. Seraphina Vance. The name hit Alex with the physical clarity of a tap on a crystal glass. Seraphina's desk was just a few seats away. He glanced through the glass partition. She was by the coffee station, chatting with a colleague, but her eyes, precise and calculating, kept darting towards him. There was no laughter, just a subtle pressing of her lips, a gesture that spoke volumes of a plan meticulously set in motion. Alex took a slow, deliberate breath, placed his coffee down, and informed the team he would cooperate fully. His heart wasn't racing, but a profound sense of unease settled in, a cold premonition that something significant, and deeply personal, had just begun. This wasn't just an audit. It was a strategically executed maneuver in a corporate chess match. Sitting across from his own desk, Alex observed their movements, the camera clicks, the rustle of papers, each sound magnified, deliberate. His mind began to reassemble recent events. Monday's meeting, where Seraphina had subtly questioned his data retention protocols. Yesterday afternoon, her lingering glance at his monitor followed by that knowing, artificial smile. He recalled her half-joking remarks about the company needing someone more adaptable, someone who could handle risk better. At the time, they seemed like typical corporate banter. Now, they felt like deliberate groundwork, seeds of doubt sown for this precise moment. A chilling realization formed. This was a premeditated attack. When an auditor requested access to his computer, Alex complied, providing clear, concise answers to questions about his project. As the auditor nodded in thanks, Alex caught Seraphina's reflection on his screen, walking slowly past, her eyes fixed on his monitor. This time, she didn't bother to hide her intent. Their gazes met, a silent acknowledgement of the unspoken battle lines drawn. Alex knew the internal audit procedures well from his time leading data security. Surprise audits, while not uncommon, always had a discernible trigger. But this felt different. It targeted an individual, not a system anomaly, and certainly not him, a known stickler for protocol. This wasn't random, it was a focused strike. The lead auditor looked up from his notes, his question direct. Have you ever taken client data off the company server? Alex's response was immediate and firm. No. Every access is logged and secured within our central system. The auditor scribbled a few lines, then turned back to his team. The silence that followed was heavy, stretched by the ticking wall clock. Alex knew their target wasn't in his digital files, it was in someone's intent, carefully constructed. As they packed up, promising to finalize the review later, Alex thanked them and stepped out. Seraphina was by the coffee station, phone in hand, an almost theatrical pose. I heard they're auditing your data cluster, she said, her tone light, almost empathetic. Hope it's nothing serious. Alex met her gaze squarely. I hope so, too. He walked away, leaving her amidst the faint scent of freshly brewed coffee. Outside, the Seattle rain blurred the city, long streaks of water on the glass like incomplete lines of code. Leaning against the railing, staring at the wet parking lot, Alex felt not fear, but a cold certainty. Someone within Zenith Analytics was weaponizing trust. In a corporate environment increasingly valuing transparency, this was a dangerous precedent, a calculated betrayal. He stood there for a few more seconds, listening to the rain, then returned to his desk. The room was the same, yet profoundly altered. The invisible boundaries of his professional space had been breached. He reopened his computer, watching the code scroll, knowing that after today, nothing would be normal again. This wasn't just a personal slight. It was a systemic challenge to the very idea of fair play in a high-stakes corporate world. Alex first met Seraphina Vance 2 years prior during a new staff introduction. She joined Zenith Analytics with an impeccable resume. Having honed her skills at a leading tech firm in California, her entry into the room was a display of confident energy, a clear voice, and a persuasive smile that commanded attention. She shook hands, recalling names effortlessly, and when it was Alex's turn, her eyes held his for a beat longer. I read your report on user behavior analytics, she'd said, deeply impressed. He'd smiled, grateful, never imagining that seemingly polite remark was the preamble to a calculated campaign. Initially, Seraphina presented as a driven, energetic colleague. She frequently stopped by his desk, seeking insights on workflow, code, or test results, claiming she learned best from those more experienced. Alex, a proponent of collaborative knowledge sharing, didn't mind. He was, in fact, pleased by her apparent genuine interest. However, a few months in, the knowledge he'd imparted began to resurface in meetings, not as credited insights, but as if they were her original ideas. This became starkly clear during their first quarterly review. A project Alex's team had meticulously developed over 3 months was presented anew, under Seraphina's name. When Mr. Harrison, their director, praised its thoroughness, she merely smiled, offering no mention of the team's foundational work. Alex remained silent. He understood the corporate calculus. Credit, especially for junior talent, often became collateral in the pursuit of reputation. After this, a subtle but pervasive shift occurred. Seraphina began appearing in meetings uninvited, citing a need to stay updated. She started emailing Mr. Harrison, CCing Alex, to comment on his report's feedback, often trivial, sometimes absurd, but designed to consume Alex's time clarifying. Each time, she'd laugh it off, claiming she merely wanted to help make things perfect. Alex maintained his composure, recognizing that his silence was more disquieting to her than any direct confrontation. In one particularly brazen instance, Seraphina presented her idea for improving the customer data management system, quoting almost verbatim from an analysis Alex had written days prior, merely altering a few terms. She avoided his gaze. After the meeting, she approached his desk, placed a hand on his shoulder, and declared him her inspiration. Alex couldn't discern if it was flattery or mockery. Seraphina possessed a talent for words, a knack for convincing people she understood the core issues, joking at opportune moments, praising the influential, and appearing perfectly humble when it served her agenda. Whispers began circulating that she might one day replace him. Alex, who valued purpose over titles, was unconcerned. But for Seraphina, the recognition was paramount. He began to notice a cold gleam in her eyes whenever he received praise or a new project. Small mistakes, real or exaggerated, became her favored tools in meetings. She'd frame him as talented but closed off, unwilling to share, not adaptable enough. He sensed a larger scheme unfolding but chose quiet observation. He believed truth, given space, would speak for itself, but Seraphina's campaign escalated. She cultivated a close relationship with a newly appointed young director, leading to her assignment to Alex's data security project. Ostensibly a support member, Alex knew her true role was surveillance. In team meetings, her detailed questions about storage protocols and access rights felt less like genuine curiosity and more like meticulous record-keeping. The team atmosphere grew tense. Colleagues like Eleanor from HR and Marcus from accounting discreetly warned Alex that Seraphina was probing into his sensitive data handling, even requesting to review parts of his source code, ostensibly to understand his risk management approach. Alex understood. She was collecting fragments, building a case. He just didn't know when she would make her move. One evening, after everyone else had left, Alex noticed Seraphina's screen still on. A dense spreadsheet filled with data glowed. Stepping closer, he saw the file name, Performance Log, Alex. It confirmed his fears. Login times, access frequency, system changes. She was meticulously cataloging everything about him. He stood for a moment, then walked away. The game, he realized, had begun and he would have to respond. From that day, Alex paid closer attention, not just passively observing, but discerning the traps Seraphina was laying. One morning, she sent him a data set with an incorrect format, yet named identically to an official file. By the time Alex identified and corrected it, she had already captured a screenshot of the initial error, ready as evidence of a process flaw. Another time, she subtly altered access permissions on a shared folder, momentarily blocking Alex's data upload, then emailed the director, querying the timeline slippage. Every move was calculated, a complex strategy months in the making. Alex remained silent, knowing any reaction would be spun as instability. He watched, memorized, and began to prepare his own quiet defense. Not revenge, but a way for truth to emerge without him having to raise his voice. In the corporate world, the loudest rarely sway belief. An idea sparked during a system log review. If Seraphina weaponized data, could he not use it to reveal a different truth? Not by tracking her, but by recording what was often overlooked: the small acts of kindness, words of thanks, moments of collaboration. He called it the kindness log. He created a private table within the internal system. Each sincere thank you, each instance of a colleague helping another, was recorded. Not full names, just initials. MC stayed late to debug script. EH helped resolve client ticket. Small, often unnoticed actions that shaped the workplace atmosphere. Initially, it was a personal anchor, but as the log grew, Alex realized its unexpected significance. He noticed patterns. Certain initials appeared repeatedly: the quiet, indispensable people. And then, there were names conspicuously absent, not for lack of work, but for a lack of recorded kindness. Seraphina Vance was one. Not a single entry bore her initials. The kindness log was never intended for public viewing, but a new thought emerged. If ever accused, he wouldn't need to defend himself. The data would speak, a form of truth no one expected. Seraphina, perhaps sensing Alex's unexpected composure, intensified her efforts. In meetings, her questions were precise, designed to corner him, referencing errors only an insider would know. She'd feign concern for the processes he managed, ensuring others overheard. Alex's answers were slow, precise, leaving no room for misinterpretation. She smiled, nodded, but her eyes betrayed her frustration. One late evening, Alex, finishing a report, noticed Seraphina still in the empty conference room. The harsh screen light illuminated a different Seraphina, stripped of her polished daytime charm. She typed furiously, deleting, retyping. Alex slowed his steps, noting the file name on her screen through the slightly ajar door. Internal report, ethics and compliance review. His name, he knew, was in it. He left without a word. Outside, the quiet drizzle reflected faint window glows. What did she truly want? Reputation? Power? Or merely the satisfaction of watching someone fall? Whatever it was, her final move was imminent. The next morning, Alex added a new line to the kindness log. Without initials, sometimes, the absence of kindness tells the whole story. He saved it, shutting the screen. The file waited. In the weeks that followed, the kindness log expanded. What began as a personal spreadsheet evolved into an automated system Alex coded during lunch, scanning internal communications for positive language, praise, gratitude, acknowledgement. No one knew of its existence. He sought to measure kindness with data. Fascinating patterns emerged. Quiet individuals like Marcus from accounting, who often sent brief thanks, or Eleanor from HR, who consistently recognized efforts, appeared daily. These entries brought Alex a profound calm, a reminder of the unseen good. Then, a more profound pattern. Teams with higher positive interaction rates performed better, fewer errors, smoother workflows. Conversely, teams devoid of gratitude, where interactions were purely transactional, suffered frequent breakdowns. Alex documented everything, not with a specific goal, but out of a deep-seated curiosity. He realized he held something more powerful than any productivity report. He was invited to a company-wide meeting on culture. While others spoke of efficiency, Seraphina, of course, presented her plan for standardizing internal controls and enhancing access monitoring, her gaze fixed on the executive table. When she spoke of risks in personal data management, Alex knew exactly who she was implying. After the meeting, she approached, feigning friendliness, hoping he would fully comply with the new protocols. Alex nodded. "I always did." She smiled, the distinct feeling of her imminent move lingering in the air. That night, under the cold fluorescent lights, Alex stared at the kindness log. Dozens of names, people who made the workplace brighter, and one name entirely absent, Seraphina. Not a single thank you, no acknowledgement. He typed a note. There are people who build connections, and there are people who measure them only to control. The next day, Marcus and Eleanor both noted a positive shift in the team's atmosphere. Alex simply smiled. Perhaps the kindness log was quietly doing its work. He felt calmer, less affected by Seraphina's provocations. His composure, he suspected, irritated her most. He saw her speaking with the director, their conversation pausing as he passed. She greeted him softly, but her eyes held a resolute glint. That night, sleep evaded him. He scrolled through lines of quiet goodness, wondering if kindness could truly stand against calculation. He didn't have an answer, but he knew he'd soon be forced to find one. It was a Monday morning. Alex's heart sank as he saw 3 men in navy suits walk into the office. Internal audit, again. This time, no notice, no schedule. The room fell silent as they approached his desk for a full review related to data security. Calmly, Alex asked what support they needed. He stepped aside, watching them open his computer, browse folders, take screenshots. He knew they'd find the kindness log. It was never hidden. Seraphina arrived, feigning surprise, speaking loudly about just happening to walk by. An auditor escorted her out, but their eyes met hers filled with pure expectation. Alex sat in the break area, coffee tasteless in his hand. The sounds of their work drifted from his desk. Finally, the lead auditor approached. They'd found an automated system and wanted its purpose. Alex explained it was a personal tool to collect positive communication data, thanks, encouragement, teamwork, to observe collaboration patterns, with no client data involved. He provided the code, test reports, everything transparently. The auditors exchanged glances, then one returned to his computer and opened the kindness log. A strange quiet filled the room. They read for a long time. Then, what does this list represent? Alex explained each line recorded a positive action. The man nodded and requested a copy. When they printed a summary, familiar names filled the page. Marcus, Eleanor, tech team members, even security guards. They examined it, marking entries, exchanging silent looks. One auditor paused at the frequency column. Alex followed his gaze. Among the high counts, one field was blank, Seraphina Vance. No entries, no thanks, no acknowledgements. The atmosphere shifted. Did you intentionally exclude anyone? The auditor asked. No. Alex replied, the data is automated, based purely on internal message language. If someone doesn't appear, it means no positive communication was sent or received. He stayed silent, then nodded. They continued whispering, a new unsettled quality to their tone. The lead auditor closed his folder, promising a report. His expression, softer than when he arrived, met Alex's gaze. Alex returned a small nod, conflicting emotions swirling within him. By afternoon, the office was unnervingly quiet. Word had spread. Seraphina's earlier confidence was gone. At the end-of-day meeting, the audit lead spoke quietly with Mr. Harrison, then left. Seraphina watched him go, her hand tightening around her pen. Alex, packing to leave, found her in the hallway. Hope the audit wasn't too stressful, she tried to sound casual. Alex stopped. Everything's fine. She nodded, a thin, forced smile failing to hide her disbelief. Her plan, it seemed, hadn't worked. On his way home, in the light rain, Alex knew the audit wasn't the end. It had merely revealed to Seraphina that the very tool she intended to use against him might turn. He suspected she wasn't finished. A week later, whispers began surfacing. Seraphina was spreading rumors that Alex was collecting personal data without permission, that the kindness log was a behavioral tracking tool, a privacy violation. Eleanor, uneasy, confirmed it. Alex felt a cold dread. Why, when everything was clear, would Seraphina escalate? The answer arrived the next morning. Seraphina sent a department-wide email on data protection, skillfully written, not naming Alex but clearly implying him. She wrote that even well-intentioned data collection could damage trust, urging a re-evaluation of unofficial systems involving internal information. Her words were persuasive, crafted to appear responsible. That afternoon, in the cafeteria, whispers ceased as Alex approached. He tried to eat, but everything tasted bitter. Seraphina wasn't attacking directly. She was planting doubt, vague accusations to confuse. Later, Marcus warned him. Seraphina had asked if he ever felt watched, knowing about Alex's system. Marcus had defended Alex, but cautioned that Seraphina was speaking to others, even management. Alex thanked him, urging him to stay out of it. That night, alone in the office, Alex stared at the kindness log, hundreds of bright lines of data. Could the good withstand rumor? He recalled Seraphina's resolute eyes. Perhaps she couldn't bear to lose, or perhaps she needed someone to blame for her own failures. The next day, people treated him differently, half-hearted greetings, avoided eye contact. In a project meeting, Mr. Harrison was less relaxed, scrutinizing every detail. Seraphina sat silently, satisfaction flickering in her eyes. That afternoon she stopped by Alex's desk, her tone almost casual. Heard you might be having trouble with emotional data collection. Be more careful with what you create. Alex met her gaze. I have nothing to hide. My system is transparent and never violates privacy. She smiled faintly, whispering, sometimes it isn't about being right or wrong, but about how people choose to see it. Then she walked away. Alex stayed up late. He was on the thin edge between truth and rumor. Any defense now would sound like denial. Seraphina was twisting his silence into proof. If he remained quiet, her version would become truth. He opened the kindness log, added a new column, recording the spread of negativity. He knew there was only one way left: bring everything into the light, before Seraphina twisted it further. He arrived at the office before dawn. The air was heavy. His reflection on the monitor looked pale. Today he had to make a choice. Seraphina had found a way to spin the story again, convincing people he'd built an emotional tracking system, that positivity was a tool to measure and judge behavior. Colleagues treated him differently, a quiet isolation of doubt. Marcus stopped by. Are you sure you want to stay silent forever? He asked softly. Silence can be mistaken for admission. Alex nodded. Sometimes the only way to protect the truth is to speak it before someone else twists it. That afternoon, Alex drafted an email, personal project, transparency and consent. Briefly, clearly, no justification, no blame. He explained the kindness log was a personal tool to observe positive collaboration, collecting only public data, never private. Anyone uncomfortable could request removal. He thanked everyone for believing a workplace is built not just on results but on how we treat one another. He reread it. Honest. Clear. He hit send, feeling a profound weight lift. The first reply came faster than expected. Eleanor, expressing surprise, called it the most meaningful thing anyone had done. Then Marcus, don't stop. We need this. Dozens more followed, gratitude, support, surprise. Some had seen their own thank yous reflected, feeling recognized. Others said it made them notice small, valuable actions. By day's end, the storm of rumors seemed to fade. Only Seraphina didn't reply. She avoided him. Alex wanted to believe it was over, her silence a surrender. Then Marcus warned him. Seraphina was preparing another report, not just about him, but the entire internal data framework. That night, alone, Alex stared at the code. He wasn't afraid. Whatever Seraphina said, the data couldn't lie. Numbers don't take sides. They only reflect what's real. And truth, once surfaced, couldn't be hidden forever. He turned off the lights, stepping into the city's quiet, rain-wet embrace. He couldn't control what came next, but he had let the truth speak. 2 weeks after the transparency email, the company's atmosphere transformed. Conversations flowed, gratitude surfaced, handwritten notes of thanks appeared. It was a ripple effect beyond Alex's imagination. But beneath the surface, a sharp tension gathered. On Friday morning, an urgent meeting invite arrived from Mr. Harrison, Internal Security and Cultural Review. All team leads, including Alex and Seraphina, were required. This was it. The conference room on the 14th floor was cold, the company logo glowing above Data Ethics and Culture Review. Silence hung heavy. Mr. Harrison opened with a brief statement on clarifying concerns about internal data and reviewing cultural initiatives. Then he turned to Alex. Standing without notes, Alex calmly explained the kindness log's origin, a personal experiment to restore faith, filtering positive interactions, never accessing private data. He spoke briefly, clearly, stopping when he saw understanding in their faces. Mr. Harrison thanked him, then turned to Seraphina. She rose, composed, her voice soft but clear. She fully supported a positive environment, she said, but worried the kindness log might unintentionally capture private information, eroding trust, even being exploited by someone with bad intentions. Heads nodded. Her words were reasonable, crafted to appear protective. Mr. Harrison paused, then gestured for the internal audit team. The lead auditor connected his laptop. Charts and summaries filled the screen, data from the kindness log they'd analyzed. Over 130 employees recognized, 740 positive acts recorded over 18 months, help, problem solving, late night assistance, simple thanks. Then the next slide, a frequency chart. Most bars were tall, balanced. At the very bottom, one column stood blank. Rachel Bloom. Silence descended. Seraphina didn't move. Mr. Harrison asked the audit team to confirm the data. They nodded. He waited. Sometimes numbers speak louder than people, he said quietly. Seraphina attempted to recover. Her absence didn't prove anything. Not everyone expresses appreciation in writing. She preferred to focus on results. Her tone was controlled, but the edge was unmistakable. Mr. Harrison nodded thoughtfully. And did focusing on results, perhaps, make you forget that working with people is part of the result? Seraphina said nothing. The auditor continued. No privacy violations, no data breaches. The kindness log had improved morale and productivity. Several departments had even started their own versions. Mr. Harrison looked around. The company encouraged innovation that built culture, he said. But what mattered most was how people responded to others' success. His eyes rested briefly on Seraphina. He didn't need to say more. Everyone understood. The meeting ended in silence. Seraphina remained seated, staring at the dark screen, a hollow disbelief in her eyes. Perhaps she hadn't expected the data she wielded to expose her instead. That afternoon, Mr. Harrison called Alex into his office. The kindness log would be expanded company-wide as a pilot, with Alex leading it. Seraphina would be reassigned to the technical division, focusing on individual work, away from cross-team initiatives. His tone was measured, not punitive. Leaving his office, Alex passed Seraphina gathering files, her eyes fixed on her desk. He thought about speaking, then stopped. Some things don't need words. The data had spoken. He returned to his desk Monday morning without the familiar heaviness. Colleagues greeted him easily, some asking how to build their own kindness logs. He showed them everything, holding nothing back. It no longer felt like his. It belonged to everyone. A company-wide announcement followed. Zenith Analytics would launch human metrics to record and encourage positive behavior. Alex was named lead. He sat still, not from pride, but relief. What began as a personal idea had become something real, something that mattered. Seraphina worked on another floor now. They rarely crossed paths, occasionally in the elevator. Her face was calm, her eyes steady, neither avoiding nor seeking conversation. They'd nod politely, like two people who had outgrown the need for words. Alex didn't hate her. Perhaps, cornered by comparison and expectation, he might have lost his own balance. One late evening, an email arrived. No signature, no introduction, just a plain subject line. He knew it was from her. She had read the kindness log expansion report, seen the feedback. Maybe he was right, she wrote. That data could reflect truth, even when people refused to see it. A strange, simple sentence followed. "Thank you for letting me see myself in it." He didn't reply immediately. Her words took him back to that first meeting. Her confident voice, unshakable presence. Now her tone was different, soft, almost a confession. He kept his old habit of staying late, scrolling through the small, overlooked records of decency. He added new lines, not just thank yous and help, but signs of quiet change. Someone who never said thank you, now sending short notes. Another, once silent, acknowledging efforts. It formed a pattern no algorithm could fake. Sometimes, Alex thought the kindness log hadn't been something he built, but something that rebuilt him. He used to care only about doing things by the book. He hadn't realized a workplace thrived not just on discipline but on the invisible threads between people. He had once seen Seraphina as an enemy, but now understood she was a mirror, reflecting a weakness he hadn't wanted to face in himself. When Human Metrics officially launched, Alex spoke at the internal conference. Data, he told them, could record many things, but never replace sincerity. The kindness log wasn't to measure people, but to remind them that kindness leaves a trace, even when no one is trying to prove it. The room fell silent, then erupted in applause. Back at his desk, watching the Seattle rain fall softly, he typed one last line for the day. Sometimes the quietest data tells the loudest truth. He saved it, closed his laptop, and stepped out. Some battles aren't meant to be won, he mused. They just need to last long enough for the truth to find its way through. The kindness log, a small act against cynicism, became proof that kindness, when acknowledged, holds more power than any strategy. Justice doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes through silent records, through the patience of someone who doesn't need to be proven right. And perhaps that's how good things outlast their creators. He stopped at the entrance, looking up at the soft gray sky, the rain gone, leaving slow drops catching the faint streetlights. He took a deep breath and smiled. After everything, it wasn't justice that had won. It was calm. In every workplace, integrity and empathy are the true measures of strength. Alex's story reminds us that even in environments filled with competition and deceit, quiet honesty and kindness can become the most powerful defense. Data can expose lies, but only compassion restores balance. Let your actions reflect who you truly are, not what others expect you to be. Thank you for listening to the full story on USLA 1 Stories. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and share the channel with your friends and family. Your support keeps us creating more inspiring revenge stories. See you in the next videos.